we used to have something which was called newspaper, a big page. You see in English, and have you ever seen a newspaper? I personally haven't seen a newspaper for a couple of years. What to say a few people, okay? But don't forget and don't worry, newspaper do exist. And even today, I see hawkers, you see, throwing away the news copies of newspaper early in the morning when I'm coming back from the masjid to different houses. So people are looking into it. So if you look into the newspaper, or you might have seen in the newspapers these notices. And requirement of publication, publishing of a notice of general meeting is only for listed companies. Other companies can dispatch it through post. Okay. Coming to the contravention, if the contravention is made, section 122 says level 2 for listed company, level 1 for ordinary. If the company is a listed company, then level 2 penalty. This is an offense. Just suppose law has said that the uh, the notice for annual general meeting must be published in the newspaper in 2 languages. Let me go back. Provide that in case of a listed company, such notice shall be sent to the Commission in addition to its being dispatched in the normal course to the members, and notice shall also be published in English and Urdu language. Expressly, the section says that it will have to be published. If just suppose that a listed company has not got published the notice in the newspaper, this is controversial. Or if it has published in the newspaper but only in English language. Or you see the notice has been published in the newspaper of the annual general meeting by a listed company in English as well as in Pashto, not Urdu. This is also controversial. Or in Sindhi. Because the concerned section expressly says in express terms that it must be published in 2 languages, English and Urdu. So in all these cases, it would amount to contravention. And if the company is a listed company, ordinary company, non-listed company, then it will be fined or a penalty of level 1 would be imposed. Level 1 is smaller amount than level 1. If level 1 is 50,000, level 2 is going to be 200, 300, 500,000. Okay, this is about contravention. And then this was about annual general meeting. Okay, so let's go and talk about extraordinary observance. Extraordinary meeting is a general meeting. Okay? It's the meeting of the same shareholders. The same shareholders who were called in annual general meeting. But why it is called extraordinary general meeting? Why? Because an extraordinary general meeting of shareholders is held in extraordinary circumstances. You know, you have been told that a company can hold only one meeting, one annual general meeting. There can't be 2 or 3 annual general meetings. The annual general meeting is one. Just suppose the annual general meeting was held in the month of March. And then later on, in the month of April or May or June or later in August or September, you see company to to consult the shareholders. So it can't. Why not? Because it cannot call a annual general meeting because annual general meeting has already been held in the month of March. So law says that it can call the general meeting, and that general meeting would be called an extraordinary general meeting. Just suppose that the company, you see, had its annual general meeting in the month of March, and later on in the month of July, situation changes. Something happened. You see some contracts or anything, increase in business, and it needs to present the matter because the matter is such that which cannot be decided by the board of directors. And for the decision of such important business, you see, they cannot wait till the next annual general meeting. There is some sort of urgency. Next meeting is, they can't be held. The next annual general meeting cannot be held before the month of January, while it is July this year. They can't wait till that time. So it's valid for a public company to call an extraordinary general. The rule and regulations and process and proceedings would be one and same. Like you see, notice for the same 21 days. Okay. And not only notice, you see, this extraordinary general meeting, you see, can be called by two sides. On the one side is the management. And who is the management? Board of directors. And naturally, you see, or normally in normal states of things, this would be the board of directors who would call an extraordinary general meeting because they are the managers. They are managing the business. They know that when they need to see, you see, the support of the shareholders. Okay. Normally, an extraordinary general meeting can be called by the directors. All right. The same way, if a director call it, then 21 days notice and everything one and same. But there is one thing you see interesting here, that an extraordinary general meeting can not only be called by the management, by the board of directors, but it can be called by the shareholders as well. If there is a certain urgent matter, and if you see a majority, you see a group of shareholders, they think that a meeting should be called and the matter should be discussed, they can. You see, they can ask the board of directors. Meeting then, even then, the meeting would be called by the board of directors, not by the shareholders directly. But if you see, the shareholders are of the opinion that the matter should be presented uh, to the uh, to the general body of the shareholders, they would write. They would write to the board of directors, and this writing is called requisition. You know that whenever the senators or members of National Assembly, few members of National Assembly or few members of the Senate, you see, they want to call the meeting of National Assembly or Senate, they, they write an application either to the Assembly, either to the Speaker in case of National Assembly, or to the chairman of Senate. Okay, the chairman of Senate. That letter is called requisition. Here too, you see, if a group of members, you see, they want that an extraordinary general meeting should be called by the board of directors, they would have to write an application. They would have to make a requisition. Okay, so Section 153 talks about the requirements of the requisition. The requisition shall state the objects of the meeting. The requisition shall be signed by the requisition. The requisition shall be deposited at the registrar office. Who can make this requisition? Okay. Uh, in case of a company having share capital not less than 1/10, 10% of members. You see, a single person or a couple of members or a few of members, they cannot make a requisition for an extraordinary general meeting. Those who are making a requisition, a request for holding of an extraordinary general meeting for some urgent business, you see, they must be representing 1/10. What does 1/10 mean? 10%. Just suppose if there are 10,000 shares, okay? I mean, irrespective of the fact by how many people are held these 10,000 shares, those 10,000 shares must be maybe by few people. You see, 1/10 of the share. If a person or two, they hold 1,000 out of 10,000, out of 10,000 shares, they can, you see, make a requisition. If they are less than 1/10, then they have no right to, you see, for making a requisition, 10% shareholder must be mentioned. And in their requisition, In their requisition, they must mention few important things, like the requisition shall state the objects of the meeting. What is the object? Why they are asking for an extraordinary general meeting? I mean, talking about the application which they are sending to the board, asking the board to call an extraordinary general meeting. Number two is the requisition shall be signed by the requisitions, all of them. Number three is that requisition shall be deposited at the register office of the company. It would be given to the board of directors at its registered office, not its branch office. Okay. What should be the reaction? You see, uh, in case of a company undergone list, if all the members entitled to attend and vote, any extraordinary meeting so agree may be held at shorter period. The period is 21 days, but it can be shorter if the member like. So this is extraordinary meeting called by the members. Okay, when if 10% of the members, they have said or they have presented a requisition for calling an extraordinary meeting. I have told you that the shareholders, they at their own cannot call an extraordinary general meeting. This is the board of directors. These are the directors who will call it. But the directors would have to be convinced that there is a dire need, you see, to call an extraordinary general meeting. So if they are convinced, then they can proceed with it and they can say yes, and they can send a notice to all the members. You see, 21 days before the meeting. But if they do not agree, then if the board does not proceed within 21 days from the date of the requisition, being so deposited, to close the meeting to record the requisition is made and set for the meeting. Okay, they have given the requisition. Board of director, you see, didn't pay any attention to their requisition. Then, if after 21 days the requisitionist, I mean 10% or more of the shareholders who want an extraordinary general meeting for an extraordinary business, obviously they will apply to the board of director, and this is the board of director which is called. If the board of director fails to call an extraordinary general meeting within 21 days, then these requisitions, they can take the authority of directors in their own hand and they can call the meeting. But in either case, any meeting so called shall be held within 90 days from the date of the deposit of the requisition. If the requisition is made and within 20 days the directors fail to convene a meeting, then within 90 days of the date of requisition, the meeting must be held. And obviously the meeting would be, you see, held by the requisitionists, those members who have, you see, asked for the extraordinary general meeting. And as I told you that extraordinary general meeting is not a regular meeting. It's sometime. And you see in certain special circumstances, at the time of need, an extraordinary general meeting is called. So for us, you see other procedures, other processes, they are one and same, whether it's an extraordinary general meeting, it's a statutory meeting, or it is annual general meeting. You see the procedure, the time for notice, etc. Or you see the taking part of the shareholders in the discussion, all will be one and same. Okay. Now okay, the